Hi, everybody, and thank you for joining us. I am Jessica Koch, and this is another amazing interview on Profound Professionals. And today I have Norm Lee with Taylor Properties. Hello, Norm. How are you today?
Very well, Jessica. Thank you.
Thank you for coming and spending some time with me right before a great weekend, right?
Oh, my pleasure. I appreciate the invite.
So I would love it if you would take a second and share a little bit about yourself.
Oh, gosh. Well, I tell you what, obviously, I'm not one of these youngsters in the business. Uh, been in the real estate business now 14 years, got into it when I was about 48 years old. I've done a lot of things. I'm married. Been married. It'll be 38 years this September, I'm proud to say.
Oh, that's awesome.
Have three grandchildren from my one son, and I've got an older one that is expecting in July. So that'll be my first granddaughter. We're really looking forward to that.
So you'll have a 4th of July baby in the house.
Exactly.
A fireworks baby.
Yeah.
So are you from the area?
Actually, military family. Grew up in a military family. Born on an Air Force base in Austin, Texas. My father was an Air Force officer. So actually born on an Air Force base. We then moved to Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, out to California, Los Angeles, California. And then I have actually been here in Maryland since the 4th grade. So Maryland is my home.
Well, we have a little bit of a similar journey. How interesting. So I was a Navy brat, but I was born here and then almost immediately moved to Massachusetts, then Maine, then California. Point Magoo was the base we were at there. And then around the 4th or 5th grade, moved back to this region, and my dad retired at Andrews Air Force Base.
Yeah.
So spent the rest of his days there. He worked on a P3.
Oh, wow. Okay. Well, I was fortunate in that my father came here to Andrews for 4 years, and then went to the Pentagon for 4 years, and then back to Andrews for 4 years. So by the time he was ready to serve his last 3 or 4 years out in California again, we were able to stay here. In fact, I believe I was engaged and getting ready to get married.
Oh, awesome. Very wonderful. So what led you to your journey in real estate? So what are you passionate about real estate for?
Wow. I tell you what, I didn't seek out real estate. I'm one of those people, I tell folks that I've lived 5 lives at least. And what I didn't
tell you earlier when you said you weren't one of the young chickens, you could just call yourself the silver fox, right?
There you go. There you go. My woman that cuts my hair asked me years ago, she said, "You want me to color that?" I said, "Heck no." I said, "I'm hoping it turns white someday." But, so no, I'm proud of my gray hair. I've earned every hair of it.
So 5 lives. Tell us about your 5
lives. Yeah, as far as getting into the real estate business, I really didn't seek it out. It's just something that I ended up coming to. It was an epiphany, if you will. I went to UMBC here, a local university. I actually went there to become, I thought, an orthopedic surgeon. I figured I'd broken enough bones that I was an expert. In fact, I was pushed off a sliding board at the age of 3 at that Air Force base where I was born, broke a leg, and broke many bones after that in various sports, etc. So I thought I'd be an expert at it, but by the time they started hooking me up into the chemistry and the math and all that, I said, nah, that's not for me.
Tough business right there. That's some serious studying.
I was actually approached. I was taking one of my general distribution requirements at the university, an art class of all things, was actually approached by my professor who felt that I had some talent, told me that they were hiring or looking for someone at Goddard Space Flight Center to fill a co-op position. Cool. I did not even know what co-op meant. Ended up working for Goddard Space Flight Center for 2 full semesters. It extended my graduation to 1981 and just a year. And I was actually offered a full-time position with Goddard. And unfortunately, that was a time in which Reagan had taken office and had to put a freeze on all government hiring 2 weeks before I was to graduate and start that new job. So, I actually found the letters here just recently where I'd been offered the position, assured with a second letter that I was still going to have the position. And then the third letter a couple of weeks later stating, no, we were wrong. You're going to lose your position just like every other scientist and anyone else that was had been offered a position. So,
Oh,
so I was going to be a technical illustrator there. I fell back on some other things. I ended up finding my way to a job with the United Parcel Service. I worked for a sign company in Silver Spring for a short time. But then I was offered an opportunity of all things by a relative who had worked for a local or large national insurance company. They were looking for insurance agents. You had to have a college degree. It really didn't make any difference what it was in, but you needed to have a 4-year degree. I had that. I interviewed for the position and was fascinated with the fact that I was told you could pretty much make what you wanted to as long as you were willing to work hard. I was always willing to work hard. I had grown up with a strong work ethic and ended up getting into the insurance business. Was a multi-line agent. I was also selling property casualty securities. And
how do we shift? We're a successful real insurance agent. Now we're a successful real estate agent. What made the track shift?
And I was successful at it. And I was approached numerous times to go into management. And then I made what I still consider to this day to be the single worst decision I ever made in my life. And that is I went into management with that company. Took over a district of 17 agents. And I didn't hate it, but at age 33, I was managing individuals who were set in their ways, really had no reason to produce. They were just sitting back on their incomes. And yet at the same time, I had quotas to meet. So I couldn't wait to get back into sales. I thoroughly enjoy sitting at the dining room table with people, discussing their lives, their wants, their needs, and how I can offer a solution to those things. So I requested to go back into sales. Unfortunately, they were having such a difficult time keeping managers on board at that particular time. The industry had nothing to do with the company so much, but the industry went through a lot of changes. But so long story short, I ended up building myself a house while I was a manager, and had somebody come along and say, you build a pretty nice house. Would you build one for us? I then left the insurance company and management and went into home construction.
No way. There's a leap.
Yeah. Had my own company.
Wow.
Was building custom homes.
Are we on live 2 or 3?
Had a great reputation, and with each home I built, people would come along and say, I've just bought a lot in the area, built a number of homes in Davidsonville, in Annapolis area, Eastern Shore. They said, would you build one for me? So never spent a penny on advertisement other than the sign that I would plant where I was building, and ended up building custom homes. So to move forward quickly.
Yeah, what happened?
Well, then I had another opportunity presented to me. Things were slow. This is the early 90s. And I had my accountant approach me and say, look, you had all of those insurance licenses, securities licenses. He says, I'd like you to create an insurance agency and take care of my commercial clients, offer them insurance services. He had no idea what was really involved in that process, but I looked into it and became interested in a business that his brother was running for those commercial clients, and that was a payroll service. And I could see the benefit of the insurance services that I had offered and sold in the past, retirement type benefits, 401ks, simples, IRAs, things like that, which can all be payroll deducted, group health insurance. And I had sold all of that stuff, and I could see the relationship between a payroll service and those. And I became very interested in that. I then looked further into that and ended up proposing to the brother that I come to work for them and sell their services, which they really had tremendous potential to grow that business. He was a little short-sighted, couldn't really see paying me the amount of money that I was proposing I could make for myself and their business. So I went off on my own and started a payroll company. I actually joined up with a service bureau that would handle all the behind the scenes movement of the direct deposits, taxes, etc. I didn't want to become a service bureau per se,
Right.
but I wanted to sell those services. So we quickly grew within 4 to 5 years to be the largest profit center for that particular company out of Alexandria, Virginia, here in the Annapolis area, serving the needs of nearly 400 businesses. We started this business from scratch in approximately I want to say 97, to nearly 400 businesses that we served for payroll, group health insurance, retirement plans. And it worked very well. Nearly 22,000 employees, a lot of large businesses, which I can name, you'd recognize here in the Annapolis area. And then was offered the opportunity to sell that business.
I was going to say there's no real estate in sight.
Yeah, I'm sorry. So my partner had sold his business. I didn't want to be left out in a fire sale situation. So I approached those new owners to buy me out. They did. The wife and I sold the business. It was a 3-year buyout. I actually sat out for about a year getting our wits about us because we hadn't taken a vacation in 7 years. There's something about employers and employees wanting their payroll on payday. So you can't just put it on the back shelf and do it tomorrow.
Yeah.
So we sold that business, took off for about a year. I put on 40 pounds that I'm still trying to lose. And then when it was time to go back to work, believe it or not, my wife had taken a vehicle in for servicing to a local car dealership here. They were looking for a part-time salesperson in their service department, not sales, but cashier. So she went ahead and took that position. So she'd found a job that she would enjoy. I said, okay, now it's time for me to go back to work. I ended up trying a few other little ventures, internet-type businesses. They were fun, but they were ahead of their time. I ended up working or taking a job at the same car dealership that my wife had taken a job at, because for years I had been selling services and contracts. I had not sold a tangible. And I thought it might be fun to sell some of these sporty vehicles that were at this particular dealership.
That's not what I would describe as a car dealer salesperson position, but I mean, it must be for someone because there's a lot of really great ones out there.
Well,
it's not a word I would see in the same sentence often, I think.
We had bought a number of cars from this particular dealership, and I said, all right, let me try this. Well, there was no money in it. I was actually their second to the top salesperson within a 2-month period, making no money, and I said, okay, I need to move on to something else. Scratching my head, I thought about all the things I had done in the past, owning businesses, insurance services, building homes, and all of a sudden the light bulb went off. And I said, you know what? This all relates to real estate. So I went ahead, sought out a 2-week licensing program, got my license, and on November 2nd of 2005, nearly the very month that the National Association proclaimed the market tanking, I became licensed in the real estate business. Yes. But having been fortunate to be successful in a number of other businesses, I said, you know, if I can make it now, I can make it anytime, you know, through anything. And fortunately, I was able to hold on. And in 2012, when the market came back that spring, I was very fortunate to become very quickly one of my company's top agents and have been able to stay in that position for a number of years.
Now, when did you find and what drew you to Taylor Properties?
I had been I started off with one of the other larger companies in the area. Great training, wonderful company. But I realized that there was no reason for me, having had the experience that I'd had being self-employed for a number of years, I didn't need to be giving up effectively half of my commission for the availability of someone to ask questions, a cubicle, desk duty, and those type of things. So I received this little yellow card in the mail from Taylor Properties and Anne Arundel Properties, and I just felt that I owed it to myself to look into what they had to offer. Met with Rob, Taylor, Delia, and was very excited at what they had to offer. And I have been here ever since. I joined them in May of 2006 and have been here ever since. Probably one of the agents has been here possibly longer than anybody else.
Sure. They're pretty fantastic people. I'm pretty partial to Delia, especially. So
I try not to be much trouble for them, and but they're fantastic to work for. They really are.
And since I've been knowing them and knowing the organization, I've seen such growth in the trainings and the workshops and just the availability of new and more trending technology that's coming.
Oh, they operated out of a small business that many people are familiar with down here. It's now a little place, I think, that cuts hair or serves coffee, one or the other. I actually joined with them there. I believe they were less than 100 real estate agents in the area. As of, I believe, the end of last year, they were somewhere in the neighborhood of 735.
Yeah, I think by the end of this year or the middle of next, they'll be somewhere near 1,000 is what I think.
I was just hearing some numbers coming out of the office of the young lady that handles some of their recruiting, and I thought I heard her mention that she'd already brought on 17 agents this month alone.
Yeah,
so
I mean, it's fantastic.
So what's not to like?
Exactly. Okay, so real estate is great, and then we've enjoyed hearing about your journey. Tell us a little bit about what you are passionate about outside of work and your journey in real estate.
Well, you know something, I'm fortunate in that I got into real estate when my children had already grown and out of the house. I don't know how these young folks with young children make it or succeed in this business without having marital problems if they happen to be married, because it's if you're doing it by yourself, the work is just intense, especially if you're busy and active in the business or looking to be. It's just extremely busy. So what I'm getting at is that I was fortunate to be able to be a workaholic, but I've found that as my children are now having grandchildren, I want to spend time with those grandchildren. And that's what I'm really passionate about now. I'm passionate about taking my business to the next level, because right now I'm a one-person show. That's great for communication with clients. There's never any misunderstandings. I've been very fortunate in the fact that I've been healthy, always available to them. We'll take the call pretty much day or night. But I'm at the point now where I'm passionate about taking my business to the next level, bringing on some like-minded real estate agents that are willing to work hard, work with me, and take on some of the load, and allow me to spend time with those grandchildren.
Well, and what a benefit for anyone who reaches out to you to consider your team, because I believe you're one of the top agents listed in is the correct me, what is this?
I was very fortunate to be one of the top 150 in the Chesapeake Real Producers. I spoke with the editor of that magazine, and she told me that they monitor it's well over 4,000 real estate agents in a 5-county area around Annapolis. So I was in their top 150 out of over 4,000 real estate agents for 2018, and very fortunate to be the top individual agent for Anne Arundel and Taylor Properties last year.
Yeah, I got to hear that was some shindig. That was a lot of fun. I was at that event.
Yeah,
so
it was a great event.
That being said, if someone's going to, start a journey in this, how amazing for them to be partnering with someone who's the top of his game, who knows how to get through the times in the market whether they're lean or whether they're profitable, because that's going to roll. You've seemed to work out the system to figure out how to make that stick-to-itiveness and make it through good times and bad. And you have that knowledge and experience. And I would imagine doing this for all the years you've been, how many years is it total now?
Just in the real estate alone, it'll be approaching 14 this November.
Yeah, so 14 years, that's quite a database of contacts and potential referrals, and so helping open the door to really get their career launched and started. What a very lucky individual to work with you, Norm.
And I think I can assist them from the old school point of view because I've still got a lot of the old school in me,
Yeah.
and they can assist me with a lot of the newer technology and the way of
Right.
doing things,
Nice balance. Nice
which I
balance.
have a very open mind to all of that.
Well, we have shared quite a bit of your story and your journey. And just to wrap up quickly, is there any mentors or books or resources that you would recommend to people who are looking at real estate or just for in life in general, or any way you'd like to wrap up as we come to an end here?
And in all honesty, there are people that have assisted me. I've had some with the insurance company that I worked for, probably what I would consider one of the top three in the business. Extensive training, going back to some of the older teachers, Earl Nightingale. We become what we think about the most and what we crystallize in our minds, and I find that to be so true. If we are focused on something, it will come to be. And then I jokingly, another one that especially came to mind when I took on that management position in the insurance business, good old Clint Eastwood, a man's got to know his limitations. And I'm constantly keeping that in mind because I am not afraid to have someone else take on something. If they can do it better than I can, I'm more than happy to use their services.
Oh, that's fantastic. Well, thank you for your time today. As always, I want to thank you for sharing your time with us and learning more about Norm Lee and his amazing journey and life. As always, again, we are so grateful when you share, like, and comment this video and interview with those that you know. Everyone, take care, and we look forward to seeing you at the next interview. Have a great day, Norm. Thanks so much.
Thank you, Jessica.
Bye-bye.